Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel. My name is Ellen, and this is my second video on tarot. I started with one of the community tags, and yeah, I wanted to make another video because I'm enjoying being part of the community. But I've been trying to think what sort of content I want to share on the channel, because I can't buy loads of decks. I won't be doing loads of unboxings or anything like that. And I'm more of a creator. I'm an artist, and sort of I make stuff. So my other channel is about making and sharing dolls and art toys. So I kind of wanted to stay within my interests with any kind of content I was going to produce for this channel as well. So I think I'm going to focus on the artistic and creative side of tarot collecting and tarot use. So this is going to be two main things. Sharing art-focused decks, including historical decks, but also modern decks with interesting links to art history. So my first degree was in art, so I have quite a bit of knowledge in that area. So that's an interest for me, and I've been going that way in terms of the decks that I've been buying more recently. And then secondly, my own creative experiments with tarot. I've done some deck modifications. I might post a video about a deck modification I've done recently. And I'm also working on developing a couple of decks, and I'll talk about that another time. But for today, for the second video of my channel, I wanted to do something a bit fun. So I decided to share this. I'm going to talk about my very favourite tarot deck that doesn't exist. And so this tarot deck that I'm going to talk about, I'm actually going to tell a story, because this tarot deck is found in a novel, but it's never, as far as I know, been produced in real life. There have been some samples of the cards from this novel. They were used in a TV show of the book on BBC, I think. But the full deck doesn't exist. I've searched on the internet and I can't find that anybody's actually made these cards. And the deck in the book is just referred to as the Cards of Marseille. It's obviously based on the Marseille tarot, and it's from the book Johnathan Strange and Mr. Norrell. I'll put up the screenshot imagey thing there, by Susanna Clark. And it's an amazing book. I absolutely love this book. It's my favourite book, probably my favourite fiction book that I've ever read, I think. And the premise of the book is that it's a historical fiction, and it's kind of a fantasy historical fiction. And the premise of the book is that magic is real, and that there used to be lots of practicing magicians in England during the time of, it was the rule of a mysterious king referred to as the Raven King. But he left England centuries before the sort of things, the events of the book. And magic faded from England with his departure. And when the book starts, magic isn't being practiced in England. It doesn't exist. It only exists theoretically. So in the book, a character called Vinkulus, he's this kind of, they call him the magician of Threadneedle Street, I think. And he's like a kind of charlatan magician. He does tricks and entertains the masses, and they give him a few coins and stuff. So he doesn't really do magic. He does kind of, pretend magic, I suppose. He tells a prophecy about the Raven King, or he says the prophecy was given to him by the Raven King. And the prophecy is that magic will come back to England, led by two magicians. And these two magicians turn out to be an old, grumpy, very bookish kind of character called Mr. Norrell, and then a younger, dashing one called Johnathan Strange. And what I'm going to do in this video is read a section from the book where the tarot cards feature. And in the chapter that I'm going to read, Mr. Norrell's man of business, his name's Childermass, and he's my favourite character. He's a Yorkshireman, and he's talking to Vinkulus. So Mr. Norrell doesn't like other magicians, and so his man of business, Childermass, is trying to persuade Vinkulus to leave London and leave Mr. Norrell alone. So at the start of this excerpt, Childermass and Vinkulus, they're sitting in a pub and they're having a conversation. So yeah, now it's story time, and I'm gonna illustrate the story using my own Cards of Marseille. Now this is just a cheap low Scarabeo deck, but I've trimmed and edged it. I've done my own little booklet of meanings. I've trimmed and edged it to make it a bit more mystical, and yeah, I kind of love the deck now. Actually, I've been using it the last couple of weeks and I'm really enjoying it. So yeah, I'm going to illustrate the story. Oh, there's a bit of glare there. Don't know what to do about that. Anyway, we'll try and see if it works. Yeah, so I'm going to illustrate the story with this deck. So the date is February 1808, and they're sitting in the pub, Childermass and Vinkulus. So Childermass called to the girl to bring them some more ale. She brought it, and they drank for a while longer in silence. Then Childermass took a pack of cards from the breast of his coat and showed them to Vinkulus. The Cards of Marseille. Did you ever see their like before? Often, said Vinkulus, but yours are different. They are copies of a set belonging to a sailor I met in Whitby. This is Childermass talking. He bought them in Genoa with the intention of using them to discover the hiding places of pirates' gold, but when he came to look at them, he found that he could not understand them. He offered to sell them to me, but I was poor and could not pay the price he asked. So we struck a bargain. I would tell him his fortune, and in return he would lend me the cards long enough to make copies. Unfortunately, his ship set sail before I was able to complete the drawings, and so half are done from memory. And what fortune did you tell him? Asked Vinkulus. His true one, that he would be drowned dead before the year was out. Vinkulus laughed approvingly. It seemed that when Childermass had made the bargain with the dead sailor, he'd been too poor even to afford paper, and so the cards were drawn upon the backs of alehouse bills, laundry lists, letters, old accounts, and playbills. At a later date, he pasted the papers onto coloured cardboard, but in several instances the printing or writing on the other side showed through, giving them an odd look. Childermass laid out 9 cards in a line. Okay, I've laid them out. I can't lay them out in a line. There's not enough space, but anyway, I've laid them out in a square. So Childermass laid out 9 cards in a line. He turned over the first card. Beneath the picture was a number and a name. 9, Le Mythe. It showed an old man in a monkish robe with a monkish hood. He carried a lantern and walked with a stick as if he'd come near to losing the use of his limbs through too much sitting and studying. His face was pinched and suspicious. A dry atmosphere seemed to rise up and envelop the observer as if the card itself were peppery with dust. Said Childermass. For the present your actions are governed by a hermit. Well, we knew that already. The next card was Le Mat, which is the only picture card to remain numberless, as if the character it depicts is in some sense outside the story. Childermass's card showed a man walking along a road beneath a summer tree. He had a stick to lean upon and another stick over his shoulder with a handkerchief bundle hanging from it. A little dog skipped after him. The figure was intended to represent the fool or jester of ancient times. He had a bell in his hat and ribbons at his knees, which Childermass had coloured red and green. It appeared that Childermass did not know quite how to interpret this card. He considered a while and then turned over the next 2 cards. 8, La Justice. A crowned woman holding a sword and a pair of scales. And the 2 of wands. The wands were crossed and might, among other things, be thought to represent a crossroads. Childermass let out a brief burst of laughter. Well, well, he said, crossing his arms and regarding Vinkulus with some amusement. This card here, he tapped La Justice, tells me you have weighed your choices and come to a decision. And this one, he indicated the 2 of Wands, tells me what your decision is. You're going wandering. It seems I've wasted my time. You've already made up your mind to leave London. So many protestations, Vinkulus, and yet you always intended to go. Vinkulus shrugged as if to say, what did Childermass expect? The 5th card was the Valet de Coupe, the Page of Cups. One naturally thinks of a page as being a youthful person, but the picture showed a mature man with bowed head. His hair was shaggy and his beard was thick. In his left hand he carried a heavy cup, yet it could not be that which gave such an odd, strained expression to his countenance, not unless it was the heaviest cup in the world. No, it must be some other burden, not immediately apparent. Owing to the materials which Childermass had been compelled to use to construct his cards, this picture had a most peculiar look. It had been drawn upon the back of a letter, and writing showed through the paper. The man's clothes were a mass of scribbles, and even his face and hands bore parts of letters. Vinkulus laughed when he saw it, as though he recognised it. He gave the card 3 taps in friendly greeting. Perhaps it was this that made Childermass less certain than he had been before. You have a message to deliver to someone, he said in an uncertain tone. Vinkulus nodded. And will the next card show me this person? He asked. Yes. Ah, exclaimed Vinkulus, and turned over the 6th card himself. The 6th card was the Cavalier de Bâton, the Knight of Wands. A man in a broad-brimmed hat sat upon a horse of pale colour. The countryside through which he rode was indicated by a few rocks and tufts of grass at his horse's hooves. His clothes were well made and expensive looking, but for some inexplicable reason he was carrying a heavy club. Even to call it a club was to make it sound grander than it was. It was scarcely more than a thick branch torn from a tree or hedge. There were still twigs and leaves protruding from it. Vinkulus picked up the card and studied it carefully. The 7th card was the 2 of Swords. Childermass said nothing, but immediately turned over the 8th card. Le Pendu, the Hanged Man. The 9th card was Le Monde, the World. It showed a naked female figure dancing. In the 4 corners of the card were an angel, an eagle, a winged bull, and a winged lion, the symbols of the evangelists. You may expect a meeting, said Childermass, leading to an ordeal of some sort, perhaps even death. The cards do not say whether you survive or not, but whatever happens, this, he touched the last card, says that you will achieve your purpose. And do you know what I am now? Asked Vinkulus. Not exactly, but I know more of you than I did. You see that I'm not like the others, said Vinkulus. There's nothing here that says you are anything more than a charlatan, said Childermass, and he began to collect his cards. Wait, said Vinkulus. I will tell your fortune. Vinkulus took the cards and laid out 9. Then he turned them over one by one. 18, La Lune. 16, La Maison Dieu, which apparently La Maison Dieu is another name for the tower. I didn't know that. La Maison Dieu reversed. The 9 of Swords. Valet de Bâton. The 10 of Batons, reversed. 2. La papesse. 10. La roue de fortune. La roue, sorry, de fortune. The wheel. The 2 of coins. And the King of Cups. Vinkulus looked at them. He picked up La Maison Dieu and examined it. But he said nothing at all. Childermass laughed. You're right, Vinkulus, you're not like the others. There is my life, there on the table. But you cannot read it. You're a strange creature, the very reverse of all the magicians of the last centuries. They were full of learning but had no talent. You have talent and no knowledge. You cannot profit by what you see. Vinkulus scratched his long sallow cheek with his unclean fingernails. Childermass began again to gather up his cards. But once again, Vinkulus prevented him and indicated that they should lay out the cards again. What? Asked Childermass in surprise. I've told you your fortune. You have failed to tell me mine. What more is there? I'm going to tell his fortune. Whose? Norrell's? But you will not understand it. Shuffle the cards, said Vinkulus stubbornly. So Childermass shuffled the cards, and Vinkulus took 9 and laid them out. Then he turned over the first card. 4. L'Empereur. It showed a king seated upon a throne in the open air, with all the customary kingly accoutrements of crown and sceptre. Childermass leaned forward and examined it. What is it? Asked Vinkulus. I do not seem to have copied this card very well. I've never noticed before. The inking is badly done. The lines are thick and smudged, so that the emperor's hair and robe appear almost black. And someone has left a dirty thumbprint over the eagle. The emperor should be an older man than this. I have drawn a young man. Are you going to hazard an interpretation? No, said Vinkulus, and indicated by a contemptuous thrust of his chin that Childermass should turn the next card. "4. L'Empereur." There was a short silence. That's not possible, said Childermass. There are not 2 emperors in this pack. I know there are not. If anything, the king was younger and fiercer than before. His hair and robes were black, and the crown upon his head had become a thin band of pale metal. There was no trace of the thumbprint on the card, but the great bird in the corner was now decidedly black, and it had cast off its eagle-like aspects and settled itself into a shape altogether more English. It had become a raven. Childermass turned over the 3rd card. 4. L'Empereur. And the 4th. 4. L'Empereur. By the 5th, the number and name of the card had disappeared, but the picture remained the same. A young dark-haired king at whose feet strutted a great black bird. Childermass turned over each and every card. He even examined the remainder of the pack, but in his anxiety to see, he fumbled and the cards somehow fell everywhere. Black kings crowded about Childermass, spinning in the cold grey air. Upon each card was the same figure, with the same pale, unforgiving gaze. There, said Vinkulus softly. That is what you may tell the magician of Hanover Square. That is his past and present and his future. So, that's the end of the storytelling section. Yeah, but I absolutely love the depiction of the deck in the book, and I wish that my cards looked more like that and that it existed in real life. And the character on the Emperor card at the end is, of course, the Raven King. And the story develops from there into this very magical tale about the return of magic to England. But anyway, one of the things I'm thinking of doing is trying to recreate that deck, the one that's described in the book, by hand making the cards as they're described in the chapter. So I might share some of that with you if I manage it. I'm still thinking about ways to produce cards and hand make cards. And then maybe I'll share other deck modifications and deck making techniques. I'm thinking about a couple of different handmade decks and ways to reproduce them in small quantities. So yeah, that's what I'm planning to do with the channel in future. I hope you enjoyed the story, and yeah, please do share as well if there are other fictional decks out there that you know of, or any decks that you wish existed. but that don't exist yet. Your dream deck, one that's just waiting to be made or waiting to be found in a old bookshop one day. Yeah, and that's it. Thanks for watching, everybody. Bye.